If you've watched The Shawshank Redemption, you probably have a halfway decent idea about what really goes down in prison. There's usually an entire social hierarchy within every facility, and the ones at the bottom get the short end of the straw, so to speak. There's murder, rape, and attacks on prisoners as well as the guards, and corrupt compliance ensures the process goes unchecked. There are normal prisons, however. And then there are incarceration facilities that resemble the most bleak and despairing hellholes you can imagine. Here are the top 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. Number 10. Bong Kwang Central Prison, Bangkok. Bong Kwang Central Prison in Bangkok, Thailand has been jokingly referred to as the Bangkok Hilton. The prison was built between 1927 and 1931 for inmates sentenced to 25 years to life, as well as those who received the death penalty, according to prison history. It's one of the world's most notorious prisons. Inmates used to be forced to wear leg irons for their first 3 months inside, which inhibited mobility and was extremely uncomfortable. Those who were sentenced to death were required to wear leg irons for the length of their imprisonment, until their execution. The use of shackles was discontinued in 2013, but it's reported that some high-profile and violent prisoners are still kept in leg irons. The prison has a class system, so prisoners receive food based on how high or low they fall on the hierarchy. While they all receive a bowl of rice and vegetables each day, inmates who want more must have the means to purchase it. As a result, the wealthier inmates fare much better than their poorer counterparts. Number 9. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia. Home to the most brutal criminals in Russia, including serial killers, terrorists, rapists, cannibals, and pedophiles, Black Dolphin Prison is a Russian correctional facility. Guards move inmates between buildings by bending them over, grabbing their handcuffed hands behind their back, and having them blindfolded so they cannot devise escape plans or attack prison staff. Inmates are only allowed 90 minutes of exercise a day. Apart from that, they are not allowed to lay down or even sit on their bunks for 16 hours of wake time, putting Black Dolphin Prison at 22 on the list of the 25 most dangerous prisons in the world. Number 8. Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Guantanamo Bay has been widely criticized for detaining individuals without trial and the routine infliction of torture on inmates. There have been several reports of suicides and suicide attempts at Guantanamo Bay. Detainees have protested against indefinite detention by going on hunger strikes, but were force-fed using nasal and rectal feeding, another violation of human rights. Number 7. Ciudad Barrios Prison, El Salvador. The Ciudad Barrios Prison is located in El Salvador and has exclusively housed members of the Mara Salvatrucha gang, more commonly known as MS-13. The prison is one of the most violent in the country, without a doubt, with the governing body being the inmates themselves, who are cold-blooded individuals that even the prison staff dare not mess with. The inmates run their own bakeries and healthcare centers. They're heavily tattooed with gang signs and are constantly involved in fights, which result in many of the less fortunate being beaten to death. Number 6. Maracaibo National Prison, Venezuela. Sabaneta was built in 1856 and is located in Maracaibo, in the state of Zulia in Venezuela. Over 100 people were killed in a 1994 melee between prisoner gangs that led to a giant fire, according to Spunk Library. The facility was constructed to hold up to 800 people, but at one point it housed somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000, according to estimates from the National Guard and Ministry of Justice. Prisoners are often held in the facility for long periods without conviction. While inmates are supposed to go on trial within 8 months of arrest, some spend years behind bars before getting their day in court. Number 5. La Modelo, Colombia. La Modelo is based in Bogota, Colombia. The prison consists of two wings, the north wing that holds the left-wing rebels, and the south wing holds the right-wing government supporters. The space between the wings is the battleground where the killings take place. In March of 2020, a riot broke out within the prison due to fear of the COVID-19 pandemic being spread. That riot caused 23 deaths and 83 injuries. Number 4. Carandiru Penitentiary, Brazil. Carandiru Penitentiary is known for its human rights violations. It was built in 1890 and became so overcrowded in the 20th century that the prisons created their own rules and took over command from the small number of guards who were employed there, according to prison history. At one point, the facility held 8,000 inmates who were often malnourished and received insufficient medical care. Many had transmittable diseases that spread through the prison population. A 1992 prison riot resulted in 111 deaths. Military police intervened and killed the inmates, even those who surrendered. Number 3. Mendoza Prison, Argentina. In 2015, Italian photographer Valerio Bispuri was granted permission to visit Pavilion 5 of Mendoza Prison in Argentina and document what he saw behind bars. Authorities allowed him to go inside only after he signed paperwork clearing them of all responsibility for his safety, according to The Guardian. Pavilion 5 was known for housing the country's most dangerous criminals. In fact, the inmates were so dangerous that guards would leave meals at specific spots, far away from the prisoners, to protect themselves. The conditions at the facility were so inhumane that the inmates left Bispuri alone, wanting him to publish photographs that showed the world how awful it was. The photographer's risk paid off. Pavilion 5 was shut down not long after the images were shared publicly. Number 2. Camp 22, North Korea. North Korea is known for its prison camps, which hold hundreds of thousands of inmates. The sites have been likened to Nazi concentration camps, according to Insider. One of the concerns is that outsiders know little about what goes on in these camps. Only a few escapees and former guards have been able to reveal information about the conditions inside. As many as 200,000 citizens have disappeared in North Korea and are reportedly living in these camps. Camp 22 is one of the biggest and most terrifying in the country, according to Free Korea, and satellite photography has given other countries some insight into this forced labor camp. Human rights researcher David Hawk talked with survivors and former guards who explained that a person entering the detention center would likely be dead or disabled within 3 months. According to former prisoners, life is so brutal that 20 to 25% of inmates die annually. Number 1. Gitarama Prison, Rwanda. Gitarama Prison in Rwanda is one of the deadliest prisons on Earth. While it was built to accommodate 600 inmates, it houses as many as 6,000 to 7,000, according to Z News. It's so overcrowded that people are forced to stand most of the time because there's no space to sit or lie down. The conditions are so bad that inmates often get involved in fights to the death. Even worse, there are also reports of prisoners eating the bodies of the dead to stay alive. Reportedly, as many as 8 prisoners die each day at the facility. Many also have to deal with gangrene, a bacterial infection that causes the death of tissue and that can lead to the loss of toes and other appendages. The inmates must also deal with feces on the floor, and the facility smells so bad you can smell it from a half-mile away, according to the San Quentin News. 1 in 8 inmates held in Gitarama die from disease or violence. That wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I'll see you next time. Till then, peace out.